welcome to today's session. I am Mr. Afikile Sikwebu, and I am your tutor for coding with Miss Zora. My email address for those who would like to make contact with me is afikile@africateengeeks.co.za. I am a teacher at Linkside High School. It's a high school in Port Elizabeth. Should you have any questions regarding today's lesson or any other lesson for that matter, you are more than welcome to send me an email to my email address that I have shared with you. I do welcome everybody, especially those who may be joining us for the first time. If you are joining us for the first time, please just go back and view our previous videos where we have some explanation of what we have been doing. And so, as it is our tradition in this series, we are going to do a recap. We will have to look at some outcomes. We'll take questions, and then if you want to, you can email me your ideas. All right. And today's recap, really, we looked yesterday at creating clones, or the last lesson. We looked at how to create clones in Miss Zora, whereby every sprite, when you start the game, then the sprite clones itself, and we tried to click on all of the sprites that were showing on the screen. And we also showed how to sense when the mouse is clicked, and we used a when mouse down code. And therefore today, what we are going to do as we begin wrapping up our sessions, we are only today going to look at using the not block. So we have been using or and. Today we are going to use the not block. And how we are going to use that is through a game, as we have been doing so in the past. And so I trust that you will enjoy your lesson with us today, and that you will have a good time. And if you have any questions to ask us, that you will ask all your questions. So I will give you just a few seconds to log into Miss Zora, mszora.co.za. So if you can just log in to the platform, and you can then start with us today. So as I said, today we are going to design a game. Once again, as we have been learning, we are going to make a game of Pong. It's a game called Pong. You may have seen this game before, so let me perhaps bring it up so that we have an idea of what we are going to do today. So we are going to make this game. So you have two sprites that you are going to draw, or we are going to draw, and we're going to have another sprite, which is a ball. And when I click on the flag, it's going to, we are going to play a game of Pong. Okay, so that is what we are going to be doing today. So without using any more time, let's get down to coding. All right, so I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to start a new project, and with our new project, what I want us to do is that I want us first to design our play area. All right, and in order to do that, what we want to do is to go to our backdrops, and we are going to click on backdrops, and we then design a backdrop for ourselves. We will come to this square, or to the rectangle. Well, it looks like a square to me, and you can choose colors that you like. I'm not a very color friendly person, so you can choose any colors that you like. So I'm going to fill this entire section with the color. I think it's turquoise, or is it blue? So whatever color it is, I think it's blue or turquoise, whatever color it is. I'm going to delete this sprite because we are not going to use it. So we have now this color. Then the next thing that we want is that we want to have here a scoreboard. So I'm going to take this line. I'm going to take a line. I'm going to draw a line right here at the top. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make the outline. Sorry, let me just use this. Make sure I've selected the line. Then I can make the outline 5 points. Okay. Then we have a line. And secondly, or thirdly, we are going to separate this line so that there's 2 sections, one for him and one for her. All right. So I'm also going to make this. Line. No, sorry. Also going to make this line 5 points. Okay. Then let's see if it's centered. Okay, looks okay. It looks like it could be in the center. Okay, or at the center. Okay, so now we have a background. We have our color, our scoreboard. So we're going to put the left scoreboard, player 1. We're going to put his score on this side, and then we are going to put player 2, the scoreboard, on the other side. All right, so that's what we have. And then also what we want is to have excuse me, a back section. So let me take this and let me cut it short. Let me just make it a bit shorter. So we are going to have a back section, and you will see how we are going to make this back section, and I'm going to explain to you when we use it. Then I will explain to you why we need to have it. All right, so for now I'm going to draw here. Okay, and then I'm going to make it, let's make it red. So we are going to leave it red. We're going to leave it red. Okay, then let's make it a bit thinner. Then I'm going to copy it and paste it, but if you want to, you can draw another one, but I will copy and paste it. So to copy, you click on it, you right click. In fact, you can just click copy here. So you click on it and you click copy, and then you press paste. It's going to paste it. Then you can take it across to where you want it. Then you click on it again, and we will change the color, and let's make the color this one. Not sure whether it's navy or it's blue, so we'll use it. We'll leave this color such like that. So now we have 2 sides. We have one for left and one for right, or player 1 and player 2. Okay, so now we now need three sprites. In fact, we need 2 pedals with which we are going to play this game, and we also need a ball that we are going to pong around. So for the fun of it, I'm going to use a beach ball. I'm going to change its size. Maybe let me make it 40. So let's make it 40. So we have a beach ball, and then the next thing is that we need 2 pedals with which to play our game. So I'm just going to search, because I know what I'm looking for. I'm going to search for pedal. I right click and duplicate. So we have 2 pedals. You right click and then you duplicate. So you have pedal 1 and pedal 2. So what we can do, we can just say player 1 and player 2. Okay, so we have a beach ball, we have player 1, we have player 2. Next, we want to change the colors, or rather, we want to make these pedals to stand. So instead of being horizontal, we want them to be vertical, or we want them to be standing this way. So we go back to costumes, and in costumes, sorry about that, I forgot that I didn't close here. And in costumes, we are going to highlight this entire block, and we then turn it around. All right, then we go to, then let's actually just change, while we are here, let's change the color. So let's change, and let's make it let's make the outline let's make wait. So what we do, we click on the outside, we click on it. Let me see what's going on here. No, we want, okay, no. All right, sorry, please pardon me. I want the outside, I want the outline. Okay, let's see. Okay, sorry, there it is. So let's look at pink. Let's take pink for the fun of it, and we'll place here, and we'll come to the next one, and we are going to make this one yellow. Let's make it yellow. There's one thing I struggle with are these colors. Okay, so we want, please, why Okay, so let's leave it at that yellow. We then change it. Okay, we've also changed its orientation, so now it's also standing on the other side. Okay, so we have three sprites, we have a background, and we have a scoreboard. Now we move on. The next thing we do is that we need to write the code. So we are now going to write our code, and our code really is going to be pretty simple for these two. All we need to do for these two pedals is to associate them with certain keys. So for instance, on the for the left player, if you are going to, well, we have a two player, so for the left player we are going to have W and Z, and then for the right player we are going to have up and down. All right, so when I click W, or it must go up. When I click Z or down, the other one must go down. Both of them, in fact, both must go down. So if I press W, Z and down, both must go down. If I press W and up, they both must go up. Okay, so you get the gist. So we want to have a head block that says when the flag is clicked, we then say if the key arrow, if the key up arrow is pressed, then we are going to change Y. Change Y by 10. Or else, if key down, okay, this is a mistake. Change Y, not change X. Change Y by 10, change Y by minus 10. So that's what we have there. So if up arrow key is pressed, then change Y by 10. If down key is pressed, then change Y by minus 10. So that is what we are going to do. And then the last thing is that we want this code to happen all the time. Okay, so we are going to put all of this inside and forever. Sorry about that. Then we take this code and we copy and paste it for the player number 2. Okay, so we copy and paste that code to player number 2, so that player number 2 now has the same code as player number 1, because these two are going to do the same thing. And then what we do is that we're going to say now, if the W key is pressed, it must go up. If the Z key is pressed, it must go down. We can test that by pressing on the green flag. Up, down, up. Okay. If W is pressed, change Y by 10. If Z is pressed, change Y by minus 10. Why? Okay, there it is. So we are going places now. Okay. Okay, so it's going to confuse me a bit. So let me do this. I can just see how it's going to confuse me. Then let me say Z and W. Okay, so we have those two now. So now my confusion is finished now. So I know how it works. So my left is my left and my right is my right. Okay, so we have these pedals able to move at this moment. Okay, so we both of these pedals have the same code, except that the keys that must be pressed then are different for each of them. Okay, so it's just the keys. You can choose any keys that you want. Actually, you don't have to choose what I chose here. If we move on, we go to the ball. Now what we want to do with the ball is that we really just want the ball to be moving around the screen. Okay, so it's just going to be moving and floating around the screen. So when it starts the game, it must always start it at the center of the screen. So what we'll do is that we'll then say we'll start a head block that says when the flag is clicked, where must you go? You must go to the center. So go to the center is going to be 0, 0. So you go to motion and say to go and go to 0, 0. So both X and Y must be 0. Then what we want to do is that when the game starts, we could have it like this. Sorry, I just want to charge my laptop. Just want to charge this laptop. Okay, so we want that when the game starts, it must start at 0, 0, right? So when it starts moving, we want the ball to move to a direction. So what we can do is that we can say point to direction 45 degrees, which is going to be this way. Okay, so it's going to move like so. Let me see. You see, so it's going to move in a 45-degree angle. All right, so let's leave it there for now. Then we want to say we want to do this code forever, the one that comes after that, and it's outside the loop. So we want the ball to move 10 steps. Now let me explain why we are saying 10 steps instead of changing the Y or the X axis. When we say change, or when we say move 10 steps, means whatever direction you are facing, that is how you are going to move. So if it was facing this way, that ball was going to continue moving that way for 10 steps. But now, for 10 steps. So whichever direction the ball is currently facing, it must continue flying that way. If we had said it must move X axis, if it must move by 10 on the X axis, it was going to move left or right. Sorry, it was going to move right actually, because it's a positive number. If it was said negative number X, for X, it was going to move this way. But when we say move 10 steps, whatever direction, if it's facing this direction, if it's facing up, it's going to move up. If it's facing down, it's going to move down. If it's facing left or right, it's going to move that direction. So that is the difference. So that's why we say move 10 steps. And then we want that when it gets to the edge, if on edge, it must bounce. If it gets to the edge, it must then bounce. Then what we want is that also now you can see it is doing, it is moving around now. Okay, but now you can see that it's not doing anything when it hits the pedals, so that's fine. Now we want to look for the code, or we want to do the code for it when it touches the pedal. Okay, so we are going to say if you are touching the pedal, or if you are touching the pedal, or you are touching the color of this pedal, what we want you to do is for you to turn 90 degrees. Okay, no, we'll make it 180, sorry, because we want it to go to the opposite direction of wherever it was going. So we wanted to turn around and go the opposite way. So we are going to say if touching, then we are going to use the or here. If touching this color, so if you are touching this color, all right, or you are touching this color, or you're touching this color, okay, then you must turn by 180 degrees. So if it touches these colors, any of these colors, it must turn around by 180 degrees. Turn 180. Okay, so now let's see. Okay, now see. Okay, now it goes the opposite way. But you will see if I stand like this, it will continue all the time, just going to the same place. So what you can do is that you can then play with this number so that number changes for it to go a different way. So you can play with that number, or you can even play with this. You can try and say maybe it must go to a random number. Okay, so you can say it must pick a random number between 1 and 45 maybe, if you wanted to. So 1 and 45, or yeah, so between 1 and 45 it can choose any number. All right, then you can try and avoid that it does the same thing over and over again when you are hitting the pedals. Okay, so then we move on. We are done with this code. Now we want to say if you are touching this color now, then it must start counting the score. Okay, so we are going to have two scores for player 1 and player 2, and in order to keep the scores we need to create variables. All right, we said variables are just placeholders or containers that will contain something inside. So today we are going to say player 1 and player 2. This is what is going to keep our score. Okay, so now we have the score. We are going to say player 1 and player 2. Alright, so if you want to, you can double click these two, then they will be smaller. If you double click them, they will become smaller. Okay, so there we are. Okay, now it's fine like that. So we have now the score. So we want to say whenever we start the game, the score must be set to 0 for both of them. So the score for both 1 and 2, player 1 and 2, are set to 0 when the game starts. Okay, so now we come back. We then say also when the flag is clicked, we want this code to happen forever. Now we want to test whether this ball has hit the goals or not. So when you click on that flag, we want this code to run forever. The first thing then we say, if it's touching something, if it's touching this color, if it's touching that color, if touching that color, then what must happen? If it touches that color, then it must change the score for player 2. Change the score for player 2 by 1, because then it will mean that he has scored. Sorry, I actually wanted to pick this color. Now it will mean that he has scored. And then what we want to then also do is that we have been using or and wait until, so we've done that, but now we want to use, sorry, this one we haven't used it, wait until. So we want to say wait until you are not touching the color. Wait until you are not touching the color. Where is not now? Or operators, yes. So wait until you are not touching the color. So come here. We then want to say wait until you're not touching the color, because you'll see also this thing here, it also avoids the situation where the ball starts counting without stopping, or it counts maybe 7 times before it moves away. If the score counts about 7 times or 2 times or 3 times, we want to stop that thing from happening, that when it touches, when it's not when you've touched the flag, this color here, we want to give the score to player 2, and then we also want that thing, so it says wait while not touching the color. So it's going to change the player, and then it's going to wait just slightly while it's not touching the color. Okay, so we then do the same thing for the other color. In fact, what we should have done was to use an if. Then we come and we take u, and yeah, we'll do the same for this one. So we do the same, change player 1, change player 1, okay? Change player 1. Then this one, we want to say else, this is supposed to be if, else if touching color. else if where is touching color now? Touching color, and then we go here, else is touching color, then you change player 1 sorry by 1. Okay, let's see. Then it gets stuck. Okay, now you see it counts only just 1, only 1, doesn't count more than that. Okay, then it gets stuck, so we can fix that. Okay, so you can see that it works, and also it's counting. And let's try and say if touching these colors, let's say let's say 90 degrees. Okay, now it won't work very well, so we leave it at that 180 so that it just makes a complete turnaround. Okay, so let's see if we leave this like this. Okay, also this, as I said, it is easy to manipulate this one if you use the 45 degrees, but you get that what we were trying to make here. All right, so we can delete this one, we can also delete this one. So we have our game here of Pong. You can play with your family, you can play with your siblings, you can play with anyone. You can also, just if you wanted to, you could make it faster, you could make it slower, and you can basically do whatever you wanted to do with this code. You can edit it and make it yours. So I trust that it was fruitful and that there is something that you learned from this video. Now going to take questions if there is anyone that has questions for today's session. Thank you very much.